Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, hope that everyone's well. Just wanted to start creating content reacting to different interviews, clips, podcasts, debates, especially in relation to the current crisis that is unfolding in the Middle East. So recently there was a debate that took place between Destiny, aka Stephen Bonnell, and Myron from the Fresh and Fit podcast. Now, Myron is someone I don't agree with on many issues when it comes to, for example, religion, culture, society, gender equality, and a whole host of other issues. But in this particular podcast, I felt that overall he did a very good job. Again, I didn't agree with him on every point, but still, I felt he did an amazing job. But just to begin with, let's listen to the following clip of Destiny publicly addressing the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, just so we can understand what kind of sick, twisted, and evil individual that we're dealing with.
Here's the one piece of advice I'll give you, okay? If you're joining the IDF, okay? Leave your phone at home and stop taking stupid videos, okay? Because everybody's them, okay? And if you see a soldier, okay, going through a door, and listen, if you want to address it, you think it's funny, just don't video. Hey, Jesus. Okay, yeah.
So basically, what Destiny is telling these IDF soldiers, these child killers, these mass murderers, is that what you're doing in Gaza is okay. You've destroyed the homes of these Palestinians. Now you're entering their homes, you're ridiculing their suffering, you're wearing women's dresses belonging to women who are dead, displaced, maimed, starving. God knows what their conditions are. You're mocking them. That's fine. Just don't record it on camera. Just don't let the world see. And in a way, if you think about it, this is even worse than the IDF itself. At least the IDF is telling the world this is who we are, so the world can understand some of the extent of their depravity, their evil. Destiny would have the exact same thing happen with the world remaining ignorant. Again, that's even worse. Now onto the debate itself. Just a short review. This was very interesting because this debate explored the crisis in the Middle East more so from a geopolitical perspective, more so from a macro lens as opposed to a humanitarian one. And Myron was basically driving home the point that Israel is not a reliable ally for the United States in the Middle East. That if it weren't for Israel, we wouldn't have these problems. We wouldn't have people in the Middle East who hate us, who despise us. They're more trouble than they're worth. And because of the current crisis in Gaza, it's not just the people of the Middle East who hate us being the United States. It's people across the entire world, even the Western world. It's Americans themselves who despise their government and their system because they see the horrors, the genocide that is taking place. Now, that said, let's react to the first clip where both Destiny and Myron are speaking about the nuclear program in Iran and their thoughts on Israel's own nuclear program. Let's listen and then react.
After Israel had that embarrassing situation, they went ahead and, got the nuclear bomb. They have it illegally, which I find kind of hilarious that they try to tell Iran that they can't have nukes when they have an illegal nuclear program.
Yeah, but I mean, if you ask anybody in the world, who would you rather have nukes, Israel or Iran? Like, even Persians, even the Iranian people are going to, yeah, probably better with Israel.
Just think about the arrogance and hubris of Destiny, claiming that he somehow speaks for the rest of the world. How do you know the world prefers a nuclear-armed Israel over a nuclear-armed Iran? Have you been speaking to people across different countries? Have you been speaking to people in China or South Africa or Pakistan or Afghanistan or all over the world? And what's worse, he claims that Iranians themselves would prefer a nuclear-armed Israel over a nuclear-armed Iran. Are you insane? There are Iranians on the street demonstrating that they want to become a nuclear power to deter Western aggression, to deter Israeli aggression against them. This guy's so clueless, but really, I don't think he's clueless. I think he's just an absolute liar, a fraud. Now, Israeli leaders are the ones who are wanted for war crimes, for using starvation as a weapon of war by the International Criminal Court. Israel is facing trial in the International Court of Justice for genocide. Israel is committing genocide according to Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and a whole host of genocide scholars who are experts on the subject, including Holocaust survivors who are many of them are pro-Israel as well. They're saying that Israel is committing a genocide. And a state like this has nuclear weapons at its disposal. Which Iranian leader, whether it's the president, the supreme leader, the foreign minister, or anyone else, who among them has a warrant out by the International Criminal Court? Has Iran ever been to the International Court of Justice at all? Has it ever been on trial? And you're telling us that the world would somehow prefer a nuclear-armed Israel. It's utterly ridiculous. Now let's react to the next clip.
I think that our move into Iran, I think it was an L for us. I think the United States and Israel took an L with that conflict. I don't know what your position is, if you want to.
I'm a major proponent of not having a nuclear-armed Iran, so I was okay with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Destiny supports America's strike on Iran's nuclear facilities because he opposes a nuclear-armed Iran. Yet, less than 2 weeks before this attack took place, Iran was in the middle of nuclear negotiations with the United States. And these negotiations, of course, fell through, but not because of Iran. They fell through because of the United States and because of Israel. Because the United States, Republican politicians who are bought out by the Israeli lobby, AIPAC, American Israel Public Affairs Committee, insisted that Iran has no nuclear enrichment. And for Iran or any sovereign state, that's completely unacceptable. They need some level of uranium enrichment to have electricity for their power grid. Any country needs electricity. That's a right that is enshrined under international law. By having these terms in place, these nuclear negotiations were designed to fail. And then you had Netanyahu talking about the Libya model for Iran. What's the Libya model? What happened to Muammar al-Gaddafi, the leader of Libya? He got murdered. I don't want to use the words, he got basically violated by a bayonet up his backside. What happened to him was utterly ridiculous. And then, of course, after the 60-day period, Israel goes and attacks Iran out of the blue, killing generals, killing nuclear scientists, killing civilians. So how can you, on the one hand, say you oppose a nuclear-armed Iran and at the same time support all of the actions that the United States took, which only strengthen Iran's desire for a nuclear weapon? And this is something that Destiny himself admits in the next clip.
Perspective, if I was Iran, I would be barreling towards a nuclear weapon. So I understand their perspective.
Yeah.
Ever since
Just look at the inconsistency here. Now, one other argument that's made by propagandists like Piers Morgan is that Iran enriched uranium at 60% when they were negotiating with the United States. Why would they do that unless they were pursuing nuclear weapons? No, the real question is, if they were pursuing nuclear weapons, why would they allow IAEA inspectors to run free all over their country? Why would they be in nuclear negotiations with the United States to begin with? If you feel that 60% is too high, you ask them to lower it. 20%, 10%, 5%, not 0%. You can't just say you can't have any uranium enrichment at all when that's necessary for you to have electricity for your power grid. That's completely ridiculous. Now, Iran enriching up to 60% had a very good reason. This was to be used as a bargaining chip to secure a more favorable outcome during the nuclear negotiations, and this was well within their rights according to the original deal signed in 2015 with Obama, the JCPOA, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. It said that in the event that America withdrew from the deal, which Trump did in 2018, Iran had certain provisions. Now, enriching up to 60%, that was within those provisions, so they had that right. Now, let's react to the final clip and then conclude.
If our foreign policy wasn't run by them and, we didn't have such Zionist control of American foreign policy, we'd be able to do it where it'd be like, look, you guys got to make peace with these guys. Otherwise, you're not getting aid anymore. But since we continue to give them weapons, they continue to have influence, they control our politicians, they have no incentive to make peace.
if they have so much control over us, then why did Obama sign that nuclear deal in the first place, so?
Well, good question. So he signed it, but he got heavily criticized. Netanyahu came here, shit on him like in front of our own government, and he's the only other world leader that could do it. And then as soon as Obama got out, he lobbied, and Trump took it out. They put Iran on. That's another thing too. Like we put the IRGC on the terrorist watch list, foreign terrorist list in 2019. Mike Pompeo. That created problems because then we put heavy sanctions on them. Like we had every ability to play nice with Iran and do diplomacy.
Now, Myron made some very interesting points here with regards to the level of influence that the Israeli lobby has on American politicians, particularly in regards to foreign policy. Just to accentuate this point further, if you look at the Project for a New American Century, which Dave Smith often talks about, which was authored in the 1990s before the 9/11 attacks, it talks about regime change in countries like Iraq, Libya, Iran, Syria, destabilizing the Middle East in order to secure Israel. And many of the co-authors and the signatories of the project, they're dual American Israeli citizens, people like Robert Kagan, Bill Kristol, people like Paul Wolfowitz. And you often see more recently videos made by Code Pink, a really good organization headed by Medea Benjamin, a Jewish American. They confront US politicians and ask them their views on the horrors taking place in Gaza. And these politicians, they say some of the worst things imaginable. People like Congressman Andrew Ogle, who says to kill all the children in Gaza. And on his Instagram page, he has pictures of Jesus Christ and Martin Luther King. These people are completely psychopathic. They're unbelievable. You have people like Randy Fine. You have people like Max Miller, who early on in the conflict said that Gaza would be turned into a parking lot. You have Brian Mast, who wears an Israeli uniform to the US Congress. Again, many people pointed out, imagine if he wore an Iranian uniform to the US Congress, or a Saudi uniform, or a Russian uniform. What would people say then? There's a great exceptionalism when it comes to Israel, and it's completely hypocritical and unacceptable, of course. Once again, it's an amazing debate. I'll link it in the video. Definitely watch it. It's worth your time. I feel Myron did an incredible job. He drove home really amazing points with regards to this issue, with regards to the geopolitical implications, and essentially demonstrated that Israel is not a reliable ally for the United States or the Western world. Again, they're more trouble than they're worth. People around the world hate the West, especially America, because of the trouble that Israel creates, because of the influence that they have over politicians. The list goes on and on and on. So again, amazing debate, and inshallah, next time, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.